Alright you lot, let's talk about XDefiant. You know that game from Ubisoft that everyone's either whining about or pretending they're a fucking expert on? Yeah, that one. Now before you go diving into some keyboard warrior nonsense, we're going to talk real game development here. No fluff, no sugarcoating, and definitely no damn highlights reel. So why did Ubisoft pick Snowdrop engine for XDefiant? Why is it causing headaches? And why, for the love of all things holy, wouldn't they just use AnvilNext 2.0 engine from Rainbow Six Siege? Spoiler alert, it's not as simple as slapping some code together and calling it a day, no matter how much you scream on Reddit. But before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe and all that bollocks. It helps channel grow. Now let's roll intro and get on with it. Alright, let's dive into this mess properly. Ubisoft, in their infinite wisdom, decided to use Snowdrop engine for XDefiant. Now for uninitiated, Snowdrop is same engine that powers Division. You know, big sprawling open world chaos, weather effects and all that eye candy. But here's where it gets interesting. XDefiant's not an open world game. So why the hell would they use Snowdrop for a fast paced arena shooter? It's like trying to drive a Formula 1 car on a dirt track. Not exactly what it was built for. But here's the thing, Snowdrop's a powerhouse. It's great for building detailed dynamic environments and delivering stunning visuals. XDefiant's maps? Beautiful. That's Snowdrop's doing. Problem is, all that beauty comes at a cost. Performance issues, bugs, balancing problems. Yeah, those details that make gamers scream bloody murder in forums. And that's where engine starts flexing its muscles in ways we didn't ask for. Ubisoft San Francisco picked Snowdrop engine because it gave them ability to create something visually unique in crowded FPS space. Lighting, destruction, level of detail you see in environments. None of that would be as sharp or as polished without it. They didn't just throw a dart at board and say, oh, that one will do. But here's where people get it twisted. Engines aren't one size fits all. Ubisoft didn't just say, let's make our lives harder for fun rate. It's a trade-off. You want sexy maps and crisp lighting? You deal with quirks. But that means fixing issues isn't as easy as slapping on a patch and calling it a day. Snowdrop's a fussy bastard, and the dev team is wrestling with it day and night. So let's talk about real shit show here. Challenges using Snowdrop engine in a fast-paced shooter like XDefiant. Snowdrop's like that one mate who shows up at pub in a suit when you're all dressed for a casual night out. It's overdressed for the job. This engine is bloody brilliant at building sprawling dynamic environments, weather systems, particle effects, all things that Division's absolutely needs. But in XDefiant, not so much. See, what players don't get is when you take an engine designed for one type of game and try to wrangle it into another, you're basically inviting chaos. You think performance drops are a nightmare for you? Imagine being dev trying to optimize an engine that wants to treat every match like it's fucking Wild West of game design. It's like trying to get a giraffe to do ballet. Can it be done? Yeah, with a lot of broken ankles and cursing. Snowdrop wasn't built for breakneck pace or arena shooters. That tight, twitchy gameplay in XDefiant, that's stuff that strains Snowdrop's insides like you wouldn't believe. Every time you see drop frame or glitch, it's engine going, what the hell is this? I didn't sign up for this shit. And here's kicker, every little fix takes a monumental effort. One adjustment here can bugger up 10 others over there. It's like playing whack-a-mole with a bloody sledgehammer. And then you got issue of balancing. Every patch, it's not just about tweaking guns or abilities. Snowdrop's fancy alright, but it's finicky as hell. You change one thing and suddenly your frame rates drop, textures pop in late, or even better, game crashes entirely. So when you see dev team taking the time to roll out fixes, it's not because they're twiddling their thumbs. They're trying not to break damn thing in process. And I know some of you are still sitting there thinking, well, just use Siege engine, mate. Hold your horses. We'll get to that bit of lunacy. First, let's address elephant in room, or should I say Reddit comment section. You lot keep banging on about how Ubisoft should have used AnvilNext 2.0, engine behind Rainbow Six Siege. If Siege works so well, why not just slap that onto XDefiant? Yeah, it's always that simple, innit? You think game development's like swapping out a graphics card. Let me break it down for you. AnvilNext 2.0 is great for Siege, no question. Siege is a tactical shooter. Slow, methodical, built around small destructible environments and intricate player mechanics. It's all about tight spaces, strategy and blowing holes in walls. XDefiant, on the other hand, fast, frenetic and focused on speed over strategy. It's like comparing chess to a pub brawl. Sure, they're both technically games, but they couldn't be more different. Here's what you don't get. AnvilNext 2.0 wasn't designed for sheer chaos that XDefiant demands. It excels in close quarters, small team combat and controlled destruction, perfect for Siege's 5v5 tactical pacing. But when you start cranking up player count, increasing map size and speeding up movement like you do in XDefiant, AnvilNext 2.0 would shit itself faster than you can say optimise. You can't just stretch an engine meant for tight tactical experience and expect it to magically handle large-scale, fast-paced chaos without breaking into a sweat. Plus, AnvilNext isn't exactly a walking park to develop for either. It's a robust engine, sure, but it's not like Siege is immune to its own technical issues, is it? We've seen a fair share of bugs, glitches, and God knows what else in that game too. So if you think just cause Siege is working, it's some sort of magic wand fix for XDefiant, you're in for a rude awakening. So no, chucking AnvilNext 2.0 into XDefiant wouldn't be brilliant masterstroke you think it would be. It's not built for kind of mayhem this game's pushing. Snowdrop might be a pain in arse, but at least it can potentially handle visual complexity and speed or XDefiant. AnvilNext would keel over and die if you asked it to deal with same chaos. And before you start throwing more solutions at me, we'll talk about why fixing these problems isn't as simple as some think. I get it, you're frustrated, performance issues, bugs, hit registration, and let's not forget servers having stability or a drunk bloke on ice skates. But here's reality. Fixing this shit is a nightmare. And no, your Twitter rants aren't speeding up process. Let me paint you a picture. You got an engine like Snowdrop, designed for open world games, now being bent into something it were never fully intended for. It's like trying to make a toaster cook a roast dinner. Sure, it's possible, but you're gonna have a hell of a time getting it right without burning the house down. Devs are constantly battling between performance and gameplay. Every time they fix a bug, they risk creating a dozen more. It's like playing bloody Jenga. Pull one piece out and the whole tower comes down. You want smoother performance? Cool, but now textures don't load properly. You want better hit detection? Sure, but oops, now your frame rate just tanked. And don't even get me started on servers. Everyone loves to scream, just fix netcode, as if that's a 2-minute job. Mate, server-side problems aren't like flipping a switch. You're talking about optimizing connections across thousands, if not millions of players spread across different regions with varying internet speeds, all while ensuring game doesn't completely gut its up. And you gotta do it while ensuring core gameplay doesn't suffer. Every update is a balancing act between making game more stable and not introducing new ways for it to implode. But nah, some of you reckon that dev team is just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, as if they're not busting their asses trying to make this game as polished as possible. They're working with a complicated engine, a complex game, and a community that has patience for a toddler on a sugar rush. Truth is, development isn't just about getting it done. It's about carefully navigating a minefield of technical nightmares without blowing everything to kingdom come. So before you start screaming on Twitter again about how lazy devs are, maybe remember that they're dealing with more variables than you've had at dinners. You want quick fixes? Go play something simpler. You want a game that's going to be worth sticking around with long term? You're going to have to let them figure this shit out. And for love of God, stop suggesting they just switch to a new engine mid-development. That's like asking a builder to swap out foundation of your house when it's halfway finished. Now let's dive into why team deserves more credit than they get. You know, folks who actually make game you're so quick to whinge about. Yeah, them. Look, I know it's easy to sit there and scream into the void of internet every time a bug pops up or a patch don't fix things instantly. But maybe, just maybe, we ought to give devs a bit more credit than they get. Strap in, I'm about to drop some uncomfortable truths. First off, these devs are working with Snowdrop, an engine that's notoriously complex, especially when it comes to something like XDefiant. Like I said before, it's not an arena shooter's best mate, more like a high-maintenance diva that needs constant attention to avoid a meltdown. But here's what you're missing. They chose this engine because they wanted to make XDefiant look and feel unique, not just churn out another cookie-cutter FPS. They could have taken the easy route, slapped something basic together and called it a day. But they didn't. They're trying to push limits. And pushing limits always comes with problems. Second, devs aren't just sitting around eating biscuits while the game falls apart. These people are working around clock to squash bugs, improved performance, and balanced gameplay. Game development is like trying to build a skyscraper in a bloody earthquake zone. Every time you get one part stable, ground shifts under your feet. You fix one bug and another one pops up out of nowhere. It's a constant battle to keep things running smoothly. But let's be honest, if you had to deal with level of technical crap they're dealing with, you'd probably just curl up into a ball and cry. And then there's constant noise from player base. Half of you yelling for new content, other half are screaming for bug fixes. And somehow both sides expect it all yesterday. Devs are trying to juggle keeping game fresh, fixing what's broken and not accidentally breaking the whole thing in process. It's a bloody miracle game even runs as well as it does. Given juggling act they're pulling off, you think it's easy. It's like trying to patch a boat while it's still at sea. There's no dry dock, just waves crashing over you, and you got a bunch of backseat sailors shouting about how you're doing it wrong. Now don't get me wrong, there are legitimate complaints, and game has its problems. But when you start throwing around accusations like lazy devs or cash grab, you're showing your ignorance. XDefiant team is passionate about making this game work. They're not out to fleece you. If they were, they wouldn't be putting this much effort into fixing issues and engaging with community. They could have just chucked out some loot boxes and microtransactions, called it a day and made a quick buck. But they didn't. So next time you're about to fire off some half-baked tweet about how devs don't care, maybe take a minute to think about sheer size of the task in front of them. This is a team trying to create something ambitious in a brutal, unforgiving market, and they're doing it while under constant scrutiny from people who've never even touched a line of code. Maybe cut them some slack, eh? Alright, we've been through rants. We've talked about Snowdrop engine, struggles of game development, and why devs deserve more credit than you're giving them. But here's where I flip script. Despite all hiccups and issues, XDefiant has potential to be somewhat bloody special. And no, I'm not blowing smoke up Ubisoft's ass. Look, I'm not saying XDefiant is perfect right now, hell, far from it. But what I'm saying is that it's doing something that a lot of shooters out there aren't. It's bringing back fun. Remember that? Fun. That thing we used to have before shooters started becoming grindfest for loot boxes and battle passes. XDefiant is offering a refreshing throwback to when arena shooters weren't bogged down with all that crap. It's fast, chaotic, and it's not drowning in engagement-optimized matchmaking that makes you want to smash your controller. Here's why it stands out. It's not trying to beat next Call of Duty or Siege, and thank fuck for that. It's carving out its own path. Factions, unique. Abilities, they bring something different to the table without turning it into some over-the-top hero-based shooter like Overwatch. Gunplay, tight as hell. And maps, well, Snowdrop may be a pain in the arse, but you can't deny maps look incredible. Each one feels distinct and level design is solid. They're built for different playstyles, and once they get balanced right, these maps are going to be some at best in genre. And let's not forget devs are actively listening to the community. They're not just chucking out updates willy-nilly. They're tweaking, balancing, adjusting, all based on feedback. That's more than you can say for a lot of games out there. It shows the gear damn about making XDefiant a game that lasts, not just something that gets shoved out at the door and forgotten about a year later. This game's got bones of a great shooter, fast gameplay, unique mechanics, and a dev team that's in it for the long haul. Sure, there's a rocky road ahead, but with time, fixes, and some patience, yeah, patience, something gaming community could do with learning, XDefiant could be a game that shakes up FPS genre. And I don't say that lightly. I've seen a lot of games come and go, and most of them don't have half the potential this one has. So instead of writing it off because there's some launch issues, maybe stick around and see where things go. Because in a year or two, when bugs are ironed out and content's rolling in, you'll be glad you were here from start. Trust me on that one. So we picked apart reason why XDefiant is both a pain in the arse and a hidden gem, but let's not mince words. This game has a long way to go. Bugs to squash, servers to fix, and balance changes that will keep us from tearing our hair out. But thing is, it's really worth sticking around for. Because for all its issues, XDefiant is on cusp of becoming something special. It's bringing back that no-nonsense fast-paced arena shooting that a lot of us have missed. It's different enough to stand out, and it's not trying to leech off success at big boys like Call of Duty or Siege. It's forging its own path, and with a dev team that's clearly committed, this game has legs to gut distance. Look, if you made it this far, you clearly invested or at least you enjoy a good rant. Either way, this is the point where I tell you to stop writing game off as a failure just cause it's not perfect right out at gate. Games like this take time. They're living, breathing projects. And if you stick with XDefiant, you'll get to be part of something that's gonna evolve into one hell of a shooter. Mark my words, in a year or two, people are gonna be talking about this game like it's second coming of arena shooters. And you'll be one of OGs who saw it from the start. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, and leave a comment below with your thoughts and gaming stories. I might just feature them on channel. I'll see you next time, you magnificent.